40 years ago, in a small farming town where everybody knew each other's name, and most importantly, their business there lived a man we'll call Ray. Ray was a second-generation farmer, the kind of man who wore his sunburn like a badge of honor and spoke with the confidence of someone who believed the land owed him something, but Ray wasn't respected. He was feared, and not in a good way. You see, Ray had a reputation for being a cheat. A cold, calculating type who'd smile to your face and screw you behind your back. And that's exactly what he did one year when he hired a group of local workersmen who had families who needed those wages to help harvest his largest crop yet. The work was backbreaking. The kind of labor that leaves your fingers raw and your back permanently hunched. But when payday came, Ray handed out half of what he owed. Just half. And when the men rightfully demanded the rest, he laughed. He told them if they caused any trouble, he'd call the authorities. Said something about undocumented workers and trespassing. Even though they'd worked his fields with his full permission, he threatened families to save a few $1,000s. That's when everything changed. Scene 2, the spark of revenge. No one said anything outright. You don't when you're dealing with a man like Ray. But the silence that followed wasn't surrender. It was the quiet kind of rage that ferments into something dangerous. A few weeks later, Ray noticed something strange. Among his neatly planted crops were wildflowers, lots of them, bright, beautiful, and utterly destructive to his farming operations. At first, he thought it was a fluke, maybe some windblown seeds or bad luck. He spent $25,000 cleaning it all up, but then it happened. Again, and again. Every few weeks, more wildflowers. Always in different spots, always perfectly scattered. It wasn't random. It was surgical, and Ray couldn't figure it out. Scene 3, the secret saboteur. See, what Ray didn't know, and wouldn't find out for decades, was that the flowers weren't appearing by accident. They were being dropped from the sky. The farmer next door had a son-in-law who flew crop dusters. Every time he sprayed their own fields, he'd discreetly take a detour and dump 50 pounds of wildflower seeds over Ray's property. This went on for years. Ray tried everything, herbicides, consultants, even cameras, but nothing worked. The seeds were too small, too sneaky. And every time he thought he'd gotten rid of them, they bloomed again, like some twisted reminder that someone hated him. The damage? Over $500,000 lost in total. Bit by bit, the flowers bled him dry. Scene 4, the collapse begins. Ray's bank account wasn't the only thing falling apart. His debts piled up. He started borrowing money from family, especially his younger brother, Mark. Now Mark wasn't someone Ray liked much. Years earlier, Ray had spread a rumor that Mark had gotten a girl pregnant and skipped town, which caused their father to kick him out and disinherit him. Ray took over the family farm. Mark, he moved to Texas, became a traveling salesman, and eventually built a thriving cattle ranch. He never said a word to Ray about the past. But he didn't forget it either. So when Ray begged for money to keep his farm afloat, Mark gave him a loan, but not without conditions. Ray had to sign the property over if he couldn't pay it back. And of course, he couldn't. Scene 5, the sweetest deal. When Mark took over, he didn't keep the farm. Nope. He split it into parcels and sold them off to the neighbors, the very same people Ray had screwed over decades ago. Some of them even helped plant the wildflowers. Mark made a huge profit, but it didn't stop there. Ray tried to bounce back, starting a handyman business. But in a poetic twist, the people he'd once shortchanged banded together with Mark to start a rival business. They matched every one of Ray's prices and then undercut them. They had better tools, better service, and most importantly, better reputations. Ray couldn't keep up. His business collapsed before it even got off the ground. Scene 6, the fall from power. Fast forward to today. Ray is an old man, weathered, bitter, and still hundreds of thousands in debt. He lives alone in a trailer just outside town, working as a farmhand on land he once owned. He spends his days taking orders from people he used to boss around in the nights, probably wondering who ruined his life. He never figured it out. Not really. The wildflowers were just a symptom. The real poison was the way he treated people. And when the story finally came out, when someone told the tale of how the son-in-law dropped the seeds, how the workers all knew and kept the secret, how Mark waited decades to pull off the ultimate revenge, you could feel the town smile a little. Not because someone got hurt, but because someone finally got what they deserved. F. Climactic revenge payoff, 1 to 2 minutes. Imagine working a field you used to own, answering to the son of a man you once cheated, watching your brother, who you tried to ruin, walk through town as a respected businessman, while you hide behind calloused hands and a worn-out hat. Ray's face when he saw Mark shaking hands with the neighbors he betrayed. That was worth more than any dollar he'd ever saved by cheating them. The revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. It was slow, beautiful, and complete. A man who thought he could do anything without consequence. Buried under wildflowers. Debt in the silence of a town that quietly turned its back on him. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But sometimes it's better served patiently, one seed at a time. Because karma doesn't forget. And in this case, neither did the people he wronged. If that ending hit you right in the feels, or gave you that delicious chill of justice well served, don't forget to smash that like button. Tell us in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever heard? And of course, subscribe for more stories that prove what goes around always comes back around.